as you're your first time and like you've been in Boston for a little while, you actually been to a first Boston restaurant. So can you kind of talk about it instead of like Chili's and like Fridays and shit?
Yes, man, my teammates. I was here for 2 months, 2 months, and literally only ever went to an Applebee's, Chili's, Chipotle. Oh God, I think those are the restaurants we ended up going to, and then finally I got to go to actual into the Boston area and experience this absolutely amazing restaurant called the Capital Burger. Capital Burger.
Capital Grill.
Um, no, not Capital Grill. I was told
Okay.
that there's like a sister restaurant or something called the Capital Grill, but this place is called the Capital Burger, and God, it was really really good. And it made me happy because they use like they fry their French fries in beef tallow, and that
Oh,
just
okay.
made me super excited because everyone who knows me personally, I try to stay away from like processed oils and vegetable
Hmm.
oils and seed oils and stuff. So to see that they use like literally beef tallow to fry their French fries, I was like, sold. Let's go try this place out. And so yeah, the burger was phenomenal. French fries, God, you could literally taste the difference in terms of like the oil that they used. I can't really describe it, but it just tasted cleaner, if that makes sense. Like the French fry still tasted like a potato, but it was still like got a French fry vibe to it. The best way I can kind of just compare it to is if anyone on the West Coast has experienced In and Out, like those French fries, you can tell that they're like potatoes because they taste a lot like just a potato and they're terrible.
Hmm.
Like I think In and Out French fries are just garbage. So it's a lot. This place was a lot like that, except way better. If that makes sense. I don't know. People from the West Coast who've had an In and Out will know what I'm talking about. Their burgers are amazing. Their French fries suck.
Yeah, I mean, I see that as a lot of burger joints too. So
Yeah.
there's one place in Boston you got to go. Well, actually, did you go into Boston this Monday for Boston Marathon, or you kind of like
No,
stayed
no.
away?
I flew in
Oh,
yesterday.
that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yesterday at like 4 a.m. But I was kind of bummed because I had no idea the Boston Marathon was going on. So I saw like like stories on my friends who are out here now, like posting the Boston Marathon, and like my roommate or the guy that I'm staying with, my teammate was telling me how I guess it starts in or some part of it starts in Framingham and they
Yeah.
run all the way to Boston, which is
Hmm.
I mean to drive from Framingham to Boston is 30 minutes. So you can only imagine how long it would take to run.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. So I was a
It
little bummed that I missed out on that, and plus just the history with the Boston Marathon in general, and then with the like Boston Marathon bombing that unfortunately happened. So it would have been cool to be here to just experience like that kind of like cool, really proud event that the
mhm.
city kind of rallies behind. So, but yeah, unfortunately I missed it.
It is the biggest drinking day in Massachusetts.
Other than St. Patrick's Day,
Yes, both of those two are like the biggest drinking days in Massachusetts.
what would you say that's bigger than St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, I would say yeah, because like there's some people that do the marathon like run where like all the bars that are on the marathon like route, they'll go to every single bar till they get to Boston.
Will they stop and get a beer and keep running,
Yeah,
or what?
they'll no like no just like regular Joes just like that are not running. They'll just like go to a bar, grab a beer, then just drive down or walk down to the next one and just keep on going. And then like when you
See,
get
that's interesting.
when you get to like the final stretch, like on Boylston Street, that's like one of the biggest bar scenes around. And so like there's like that whole street down Boylston is like all bars down there. So it's like a huge drinking party down there.
That's so funny. Yeah, I was told when I was here for St. Patrick's Day. I didn't go into the city for that. I
Now you
wasn't
don't
gonna
want to.
bother. No, no. People are telling me people out here get drunk at 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I'm like, good God, that's insane, man.
Yeah. Now with the Boston Marathon bombing, I was actually working at the emergency room in Boston when that happened.
Oh shit.
So
How
that
was that?
was so I was the crazy thing is with the bombing was so where they set off the bombs was like literally smack dab in the middle of Boston, and there's like five major hospitals around that area. And
Yeah.
so and luckily like they have like all these like EMT stations that were like right there when it happens. So
Hmm.
yeah, like we had I'm trying to remember. I think we had like 36 people come in at once.
Wow.
And it was just like
Jesus.
anybody that had like burn marks in their neck, like they intubated them because they didn't want their necks to swell and like stop breathing, so that like hard
Yeah.
plastic will kind of keep their like throats stable to like actually breathe. And the guy, the person I took care of, he had his whole heel blown off, and then he was like
He,
he was like bleeding internally. It was bad.
his
Like
heel, his heel and his foot.
his whole heel, like we put
Oh
him in a
man.
C we put him in a CT scan. It literally looked like the night sky with all these like little pieces of bone just like all over the place. And like and I talked to the surgeon, that kind of like the orthopedic surgeon that did the heel to fix it, and she's like, yeah, his heel's gonna be perfectly fine. We put everything back together again. And I'm like, what? And he's like,
How?
they just went piece by piece, did like literally just like, it was almost like a puzzle piece. They were like doop doop doop.
Dude, that
Okay.
is fascinating.
Yeah. And there was other people there with like their legs completely blown off, just like from the knee down, and they were on tourniquets, and they were like, yeah, like they were talking normal, they weren't bleeding out or anything like that. Just, it was crazy. And then we were hearing stories of like other hospitals getting bomb threats and supposedly and shit like that. So yeah, it was quite an interesting day like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Wow. Yeah, I remember I watched the Mark Wahlberg movie, and that was like, man, I could only imagine experiencing that in person. And it
Mhm.
wasn't didn't maybe I'm messing the stories up, but didn't Jake Gyllenhaal play in a movie where he was like a survivor from the Boston Marathon bombing? Or maybe
Yes.
I'm
Yeah, yeah,
thinking,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
is that the same one? Yeah,
yeah,
I haven't
so
seen that movie though.
no, like I don't watch those movies because like I've already lived it, so there's like really no point for me to see
Yeah,
it
kind
again.
of go
And
through that.
yeah, and like there's a Netflix documentary for like the Zanayev brothers that actually did the bombing. And like my wife and I were watching it, like the first like 30 seconds, like the bomb blew off, and my mom, my wife's like, no, I can't watch this, like I can't watch it anymore. So we just shut it
Yeah,
off. And I'm
so
like,
traumatic.
yeah, I'm like, I don't want to see that shit again. I mean, I've been there, done
Yeah,
that, whatever.
yeah. I mean, I could only imagine. Like, shoot, one of my favorite movies of all time is Saving Private Ryan, and I remember hearing when it first came out in theaters, like people like World War veterans were they had to like walk out because it was just that the whole D-Day opening scene was just way too realistic for them, and it was
Hmm.
just too much of a reenactment. And kind of brought back that trauma for them and stuff. So yeah, I could only imagine, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like it's not like really traumatizing because like working in the ER for like 14 years, it's just like you kind of see the craziest shit ever, and it's just like,
Yeah,
all right, what's the next craziest thing you're gonna see? Pretty much. And it's
yeah.
just like, it is what it is. And kind of like, and so sometimes I like see patients as like, people that die like video games, like NPC kind of
Hmm.
people. Like, granted, I know they're real people and stuff, but like that's the way I cope. I'm just like, okay, they're not real. So this is just
Yeah.
something else, and just kind of, go on to the next patient to take care of and stuff.
I mean, everyone becomes like have their own coping mechanisms, and just have their own ways of dealing with stuff like that, and it's like you become, as morbid as it sounds, you become numb to that stuff when you're in that
Hmm.
field, and you kind of have to, like I have a lot of friends that are like in firefighting, and even like cops and stuff like that. And yeah, they'll tell me some like crazy stories. And it's just like, well, we've seen it so much that now we're just kind of numb to it.